Welcome to our deep dive today. This one is going to be unique, We're looking back at all the 2024 issues of OCQ magazine. It's a Dutch magazine, specifically for entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow. So like a whole year in review, kind of, capturing all those trends and challenges, especially with everything changing so fast in tech and regulations.
Exactly. OCQ magazine, it's all about giving business owners those tools and inspiration they need to really grow. Think of this as our collection edition, deep dive, We'll go through each month, each issue, and pull out the themes and those insights that really stood out to us.
Sounds fascinating, especially for anyone running a business here in the Netherlands. Gives a good overview of the year.
Absolutely. Now, OCQ magazine, it's published by OCMN. It's a Dutch network for small and medium businesses. And get this, it's partially AI generated.
AI rating articles for entrepreneurs. Wow, that's a sign of the times. So where do we even begin with all this?
Well, just like a good book, right? We'll start with the foreword and acknowledgments. In the December 2024 issue, it opens with this quote by Charles Darwin. "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change."
Wow, that's pretty fitting for a year in review. Adaptability was definitely essential in 2024.
Definitely. And the foreword, it goes on to highlight 3 major things that are going to affect businesses going into 2025. The first one, WCAG accessibility guidelines. They're becoming enforceable for a lot more companies.
Right, making sure websites and digital content are accessible for people with disabilities.
Exactly. Businesses really need to be ready for this.
It's becoming a legal must-have, not just a nice-to-have.
Exactly. Then the second big thing is the EU AI Act. They're doing a phased implementation of it, starting with banning high-risk AI systems. So if you're using AI in your business, this act is a must-read.
Yeah, like the Wild West out there with AI right now. Regulations are finally catching up, which, could be a good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the third thing, it's about the Dutch tax agency. They're going to fully enforce regulations on disguised employment.
Meaning cracking down on companies that hire employees as freelancers. Right. To avoid those taxes and Social Security contributions.
Yeah, exactly. Big consequences for businesses if they misclassify workers.
Hefty fines, for sure. Businesses need to be really careful with their contracts and work arrangements.
Absolutely. The foreword, it reassures readers that OCQ magazine will keep them updated on all these changes throughout the year. And speaking of guides, the acknowledgments, they highlight 2 authors who've contributed a lot throughout 2024, Joop der Weduwen and Kiki Kemp.
Oh, yeah, I know them. Joop, he's the legal expert, right? Specializes in all that labor stuff, self-employment, contracts. His articles are super practical.
He's the legal eagle every business owner needs.
Yeah.
And then there's Kiki Kemp. She's a mind-body therapist, an expert in what they call vital entrepreneurship. She focuses on the personal side of things, resilience, managing stress, finding balance, all that good stuff.
That's a smart combination, right? You need the legal stuff, but you got to take care of yourself, too, to handle all the pressure. OCQ seems to cover both sides.
Exactly. So with that as our foundation, let's jump into the individual issues, starting with January. Bursting with energy, that's what they called it. A bakery owner even said it was super inspiring.
And the article about natural light and blue light, how it affects sleep, that one seemed to resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, you know how it is, entrepreneurs glued to their screens all day. It actually gave tips on how to manage blue light exposure, like using those blue light filters on devices, getting more natural light.
Simple things that can really make a difference.
Definitely. But January wasn't just about wellness. They also covered practical stuff, like affiliate marketing and the legal changes. There was even an article on that GPT store, the one with AI-powered apps for business.
It's amazing how AI is becoming a part of everything. It's like this whole new world of possibilities.
I know, right? And January also introduced 2 new sections in the magazine, Trade Fair in the Spotlight and Electric Cars Expected. They even talked about that networking event from OCMN, the Vremebo.
Oh, I love that. It's not just about reading, it's about connecting with other entrepreneurs.
For sure. Now, on to February, they really embraced the whole Year of the Dragon thing, symbolizing strength and adventure,
But they balance that with some really down-to-earth tax tips for self-employed people, stuff like balance sheets and profit and loss accounts, which can be super confusing for some.
Especially for new business owners. They really explained it well, why they're important and how to understand them. Like a mini accounting lesson right there in the magazine.
Definitely helpful. And they also talked about self-compassion, acknowledging the pressure entrepreneurs are under. It's a good reminder to take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Couldn't agree more. And just to spice things up, February had this announcement about a fully electric Alfa Romeo, showing that sustainability can be stylish too.
Yeah, little something to look forward to. So February was a good mix, practical, inspirational, and a little bit of luxury.
Exactly. Now, March, they called it New Insights. They really focused on AI and automation.
AI was a big theme throughout the year.
Yeah, and they weren't just talking about it theoretically. They had real examples of businesses using AI to streamline things, improve their customer service, and even come up with new products and services.
It was almost like a call to action for businesses, right? Embrace this tech, it can help you.
Absolutely. And then Kiki Kemp, she introduced her RESET model in that issue. It's a holistic approach for personal growth and success.
That's really interesting. Encourage people to reflect on their own behaviors.
Yeah, like what's holding you back? And then creating a plan for positive change.
It's like taking stock of where you are and then, okay, how do I get to where I want to be?
Exactly. And March also touched on sustainability and business practices, covering the regulation for work-related personal mobility.
Encouraging those eco-friendly options, right?
Exactly, yeah. So March was definitely a motivator for continuous learning, both professionally and personally.
Definitely set the stage for the rest of the year. Thinking outside the box, embracing change, that kind of thing.
Now, April. It looks like AI continued to be a big focus, but this time specifically in coaching.
Oh, yeah, I remember this. They were talking about how AI could totally change the coaching game. Personalized feedback, recognizing behavior patterns, even offering predictive analysis.
Like a virtual coach, always there, giving you insights based on your needs.
Exactly. But they didn't just focus on the good stuff. They talked about data privacy and how algorithms can have bias built into them.
Important to think about the ethics of it all.
Absolutely. And they also ask readers to think about how AI would impact society as a whole. Will it create jobs or take them away, make our lives easier or more difficult?
It's a big question. We need to approach it carefully, thoughtfully.
Definitely. Pushing boundaries but acknowledging the risks. That seems to be the theme of April.
Absolutely. And then we come to May. Surprising inspiration and the rise of AI, that's what they called it. Kiki Kemp, she came back with a great article about energy givers and energy drainers.
Oh yeah, that one was good. Made you think about how you spend your time and energy.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle, forget to take care of yourself. Kiki reminded us how important it is to recognize what gives us energy, what drains us.
Essential for preventing burnout.
Exactly. And along with Kiki's article, May also continued to showcase all those ways AI is being used in different industries. It wasn't just hype anymore, it was real.
They had all these stories of entrepreneurs who were using AI to streamline things, make their customers happier, really getting a competitive edge.
So AI wasn't just a future thing, it was a right now thing.
A real call to action for entrepreneurs.
Okay, June. It looks like they shifted focus a bit. They talked about the impact of the European Union, specifically how all those EU regulations were shaping the entrepreneurial scene.
Yeah, it was really informative. They explained those regulations and how they could affect businesses of all sizes.
They also had interviews with entrepreneurs from different sectors, sharing their own experiences.
Like getting advice from those in the trenches, you know?
Exactly. And in the middle of all the EU talk, they still talked about AI. This time, they went deep into how it's affecting the workplace, both the good and the bad.
Highlighting how AI could automate tasks, boost efficiency, even create new jobs. But they also acknowledged those fears about AI taking over jobs.
Right. It was a balanced approach, making people think about the implications for their own businesses and for the future of work.
June was about staying informed, both about regulations and about the power of AI.
Exactly. Now, July, it had a bit of a summer vibe, encouraging reflection, looking ahead. But AI was still front and center, especially with two specific articles.
One of them was about Thrive AI Health, this project from OpenAI and Thrive Global. They're using AI for personalized coaching and support, all backed by institutions like Stanford Medicine.
Imagine an AI health coach, tracking your progress, giving advice, even predicting health risks.
It could be a total game changer for preventative healthcare.
Totally. And the other big AI article was about ChatGPT and Google Gemini and how they're becoming so popular.
Yeah, those tools are everywhere now for writing content, analyzing data, all sorts of stuff. The article explored how businesses could use them no matter how big or small.
So July was all about embracing the power of AI and learning about the latest tools and advancements.
A nice mix of inspiration and practical advice.
Absolutely. Now, as we go into August, it feels like we're moving into a new stage of the AI journey. From potential to real impact. We'll delve into that in part 2 of our deep dive.
Welcome back. Yeah, August was when things got real for AI and business. Like, that's when AI really started making waves in accountancy.
Accountancy, that doesn't sound that exciting.
Yeah.
What was so revolutionary about AI and accounting?
Well, OCQ had these articles about how AI could do all that tedious bookkeeping, data entry, reconciliation, stuff like that, freeing up accountants to do the more interesting work.
Makes sense. Get the robots to do the boring bits so humans can think.
Exactly. And it wasn't just automation. AI could analyze all that financial data, predict trends, spot potential problems. Businesses could be more proactive with their money.
Wow, that sounds pretty powerful. Like AI can totally change the game for accountants.
Definitely. But August wasn't all numbers and spreadsheets. They talked a lot about employee well-being, too. National Vitality Week was coming up, and that was a big focus.
Well, yeah, I remember that. Especially for entrepreneurs who always work. It's good to be reminded to take care of yourself and your team.
Right. The magazine had all these tips on how businesses could use that week to promote healthy habits, boost morale, reduce stress.
Everyone wins with that. A healthy team is a productive team.
And speaking of health, there was this really touching story in that issue about a woman named Lind in an article called Break the Circle.
What was it about?
So Lind was an entrepreneur, but she had dealt with chronic pain for years. The article talked about how chronic pain and trauma can be connected. How emotional stuff can show up as physical symptoms.
That's a powerful realization. We have to take care of our whole selves, mind, and body to really thrive.
Lind's story, it emphasized taking a holistic approach to health, both for the entrepreneur and for their employees. If the workplace is supportive and understands those connections, everyone benefits.
It's such a great message. So moving on to September, it looks like vitality and leadership became the big themes.
Yeah, September really built on what August started with well-being, but it went deeper into what makes a truly vital workplace.
I bet Kiki Kemp had something to say about that.
You got it. She had this great interview in September. She talked about how to create a work environment where people can grow, feel inspired, and she talked about how important preventative approaches to vitality are. It's not just fixing problems, it's stopping them from happening in the first place.
Building resilience and preventing burnout before it even starts.
Exactly. Kiki also talked about what good leadership looks like in a vital organization. It's about really listening to your employees, setting a good example, focusing on constant development for you and for your team.
Empowering your team to thrive, not just survive.
Exactly. And September even had some practical advice for businesses, specifically how HR can explain the benefits of investing in vitality to their management teams.
Sometimes you have to make the business case for taking care of people.
Right. Yeah, they had strategies for showing how investing in vitality pays off. Healthier, happier employees are more productive, miss less work, and stay with the company longer.
Makes sense. Okay, let's move on to October. Looks like they covered all sorts of things that month. Fashion trends, U.S. elections, even the future of retail.
It was a bit of a grab bag, but I think the point was to show that entrepreneurs have to stay informed about what's happening in the world, things that could affect their business near and far.
You just focus on your own little bubble.
Exactly. And visually, October was a beautiful issue. All those autumn colors. They even talked about Pantone's 2025 color trends.
I love those. It's fun to see what colors will be big.
But it wasn't just about looks. They talked about some serious business stuff, too, like EBITDA.
EBITDA. Remind me what that is again?
It stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's a way to measure a company's profitability. You see it used a lot in financial stuff.
Okay, but why is it important for entrepreneurs to understand?
Well, the article explained how you can use EBITDA to compare different businesses, even if they have different structures or tax situations. And it's really important to understand when you're talking to investors or if you're thinking about selling your business.
Ah, so it's like a common language for money talk.
Exactly. And then October also had this interesting article about the U-word elections. They asked readers to think about democracy and how it's doing, even from a Dutch perspective.
Shows that everything's connected, right? What happens in one country can affect businesses everywhere.
Yeah, entrepreneurs have to pay attention to the bigger picture. And then October revisited disguised employment. You know that thing we talked about earlier from the December forward?
Right. The Dutch tax agency was getting serious about it.
The article went deeper into the rules, explained the risks for businesses who misclassify employees as freelancers, and they gave advice on how to avoid legal trouble.
Important stuff. They're really cracking down.
Yeah, they emphasized having clear contracts, knowing the rules, and getting expert help if you're not sure.
Better safe than sorry. But to end on a positive note, October also talked about the future of retail. Exciting stuff.
They talked about omni-channel integration, which is basically making the shopping experience the same online and offline.
I like that, meeting customers wherever they are.
Exactly. And they talked about how augmented reality could change shopping, like trying on clothes virtually or seeing how furniture would look in your house.
That's cool, bringing the online world into the real world and the other way around.
And they talked about personalization, using data to give customers personalized recommendations in marketing.
It's all about making each customer feel special, like you really get them.
Exactly. So October was a lot to take in for entrepreneurs, wasn't it? From the nitty-gritty of EBITDA to the possibilities of the future.
A reminder to stay informed, adapt to change, and try new things, all while taking care of yourself and your team.
Okay, so next we come to November. Back to AI again, but this time they were a bit more cautious.
What do you mean cautious?
Well, they really got into the ethical side of AI and the legal stuff that comes with it. They wanted entrepreneurs to think carefully about how they use this technology.
It's not just about the cool new tools. It's about using them the right way.
Yeah, November focused on intellectual property and privacy, things like data collection and who owns that data. Big legal issues when you're using AI.
Definitely. AI needs data to work, but businesses need to protect their customers' privacy and make sure they're not breaking the law.
They also talked about this new job title, the Chief AI Officer, or CAIO, the person who leads an organization in this AI-driven world.
Like a whole new way of leading.
Right. It's important to have someone in charge who understands both the tech and the ethics of AI.
Finding that balance, innovation, and responsibility.
Exactly. So November was a call to use AI strategically and ethically, making sure it fits with your values and doesn't harm anyone.
Now, as we head into December, it looks like OCQ switched things up a bit. They focused on those 3 special editions they published throughout the year.
Right. Those were deep dives into some of the biggest issues from 2024. Really valuable stuff.
Like a wrap-up of the key takeaways and some guidance for the future.
Exactly. The first special edition was called State of the Union. It looked at how AI was impacting everything in 2025. All the possibilities, but also the potential problems.
It was a good reality check.
Yeah.
AI is a powerful tool, but it's not magic.
And they talked about some of the things OCMN was doing, like Meetup Attract, their networking platform, and they launched oc2.com, a website for international entrepreneurs, all in English.
Cool. Reaching a wider audience.
The second special edition was all about the EU AI Act, that big piece of legislation we talked about before. They explained it in plain language, which was helpful.
I bet a lot of entrepreneurs were grateful for that. That law can be really confusing.
They broke it down, explained how they categorize AI, what businesses need to do to comply, how to avoid those penalties.
It's like having a lawyer by your side, guiding you through the legal stuff.
And then the third special edition tackled disguised employment, which was a big theme all year.
The Dutch tax agency was on a mission.
They went through all the regulations, explained the risks, and gave advice on how to be compliant.
Essential reading for anyone hiring freelancers or thinking about it.
It was all about clear contracts, knowing the rules, and getting expert advice if you're unsure.
Those special editions were really useful, I think. A good summary of the year and a guide for tackling some of the biggest challenges.
Like a toolkit for success in 2024 and beyond.
And besides the special editions, December also had some practical info for readers, like advertising rates for 2025, the themes they'll be covering, and their vignette system.
Oh, yeah, those vignettes. I liked that. They showed how much AI was used in writing each article.
Very transparent.
Showed they were being responsible with AI and letting readers make their own choices.
I appreciate that honesty. It builds trust.
And of course, they had contact info for OCMN and OCQ magazine, inviting people to connect and join the community.
It's about sharing and learning from each other.
A good way to end a year that was full of information, inspiration, and a sense of community.
So what are your final thoughts as we wrap up this deep dive into a year's worth of OCQ magazine?
It was really fascinating to see how they captured all the changes that happened in 2024, all the new technology, the new regulations, and that growing focus on well-being.
It was quite a year. What were some of the biggest takeaways for you?
Well, for me, it's clear that AI is going to change everything. It's impacting every part of business.
It's not just a trend anymore, it's here to stay.
But the key is to use it wisely, to understand both the good and the bad, to make sure you're using it ethically and that it fits with what your business wants to achieve.
We have to be aware of the risks, like jobs being replaced by AI and how algorithms can be biased, we have to work to prevent those things from happening.
Absolutely. Another big takeaway for me was the importance of being able to adapt. Things are changing so fast. Entrepreneurs have to be quick on their feet and ready to shift gears.
That Darwin quote was so perfect. It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change.
Exactly. And the last thing that really stuck with me was how much OCQ emphasized community. Being an entrepreneur can be lonely, but having a network makes a huge difference.
It's about sharing what you know, learning from others, and supporting each other through the good times and the bad.
Exactly. And that's what we're trying to do with the deep dive, too. Create a place where people can connect, explore new ideas, and feel empowered.
We're all on this journey together. And by sharing and learning, we can all grow.
So to all our listeners, whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, remember to embrace the changes, stay informed, and never stop learning.
Great advice. And if you're feeling lost or alone, remember to reach out to your community. There's always someone who's been there and can help.
That's it for our deep dive into OCQ Magazine. We hope you've enjoyed looking back on a year of insights and inspiration.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep diving deep.